Hello and welcome back to the Stacey West YouTube channel or podcast, whichever platform you're currently listening to us on right now. I am today joined by Adam from the Progress with Unity podcast, a Wigan Athletic podcast, and he's going to help me by looking ahead to Saturday's fixture against Wigan. Adam, first of all, I guess the way to start this is pretty simply, how's the season gone so far? Obviously, there was an 8-point deduction, but if we just take that away for a minute, you happy with the way results are going?
Yeah, really pleased on the whole. You could almost say the season is in sort of 3 chunks at the moment. So the first chunk of the season, we very quickly got rid of those 8 points with notable wins at Derby and at Bolton. Then we had a dip where I don't think we won in 6 games and we lost 4 in a row. But since then, we had a big win down at Exeter. We were at the time Exeter about 6 points ahead of Wigan, and if we'd have lost that game, I think we would have had a struggle. But we managed to battle through that game, and that started this run now of, in all competitions, just 1 defeat in 13. And we've had a few injuries recently. However, you would think that the team's only going to get better because it was put together, very kind of short notice, and it's full of academy players. So very pleased with where we are at the moment. We're not looking like a side that's going to get relegated, which was the first priority. And it's been enjoyable to watch as well. Exciting games.
Oh, that's really a real positive for you. I think it was it Carlisle away that you had on the sort of the third match week, that Tuesday night. I remember being in Northampton and I was kind of stood around with some friends of mine at half time, and I think you may have been winning that game at the half time break. Because I remember us talking about the fact that 3 games in, you weren't bottom. Obviously it ended up that you only drew that game in the end, and you didn't quite eradicate the 8-point deficit that you started with. But it was obviously a really, really good start. And then, like you said, you had that little mid-season blip, but the run of form that you're on at the minute, it's just going to show that it's going to be a really, really tough game for us on Saturday, I think, considering, like you say, not just performances, but the results that you're getting on a consistent basis as well. Kind of on that note, one question that I wanted to ask, and it came up from when we recorded our monthly show last week. So I was talking with Chris, one of our co-hosts, and he pointed out that you're actually overperforming in the league compared to what your XG against is. So at the minute, I think your XG against is something like 35, but you've only conceded 23 goals or something along those lines anyway. Is that kind of, would you say it's kind of a fair reflection? Obviously, the stats may prove it, but I haven't necessarily seen Wigan as much as obviously you have. Would you say it's a fair reflection that you're conceding a lot of chances, a lot of high-quality chances, but somehow you're still being able to win games and not concede as many because of good goalkeeping? Or what's kind of the big point in that?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see like where we are in terms of the sections of the season, because we had a very young defence to start with, and we've still got a young defence. But I think I've noticed it, and this is only on the eye. I don't have the stats comparisons, but we don't seem to be conceding as many chances in the last few games. But what we did do, and Sean Maloney did make mention of this, is like that Exeter game that I just mentioned before. It was literally, bodies on the line, blocking the shots, and like you said, Sam Tickle, in goal was. He got an under-21s call up after only playing 8 first-team games. So that says it all. Obviously, at times, somewhere where there clearly be an expected goal, he, whatever, a 20 or 30% chance of keeping it out, and he's keeping them out. But it's also the bodies on the line. So, conceding the chances long-term, I guess, it's going to lead to conceding lots of goals. But I think when our defence wasn't maybe as well organised, and also our midfield shield wasn't as well organised, we were probably relying on the old sort of, like a last 10 minutes of a Sunday football game when you're leading 1-0 and everyone's just throwing the bodies around just to keep it. So it's a good thing because the spirit's there. But as I said, long term, I think they've kind of tweaked a few things. They've played together a bit more. And I don't think in recent games, certainly on the eye anyway, we've been conceding as many chances.
That's fair enough, and it'll be interesting very much to see how much we can create, not just from obviously a Lincoln point of view, but then a Wigan point of view as well, how much that we're able to create on Saturday. I kind of want to pick up on your 3 home losses. So you've only lost 3 matches in the league at home so far, and you've won the other 6 that you've played at home. Obviously, that's just in the league. But the 3 you lost at home were Portsmouth, Barnsley and Charlton. Obviously, this was a Charlton side that was under Michael Appleton, that were free scoring, and they are obviously a really strong side. Portsmouth side who are top of the league, and understandably so, and a Barnsley side who I think it's fair to say we all know how strong they are. What is it about those 3 home matches? Is it the fact that they're coming at you and they're able to exploit your weaknesses at home when maybe you're trying to come out and attack them? Or is it the fact that actually they set up more defensively? Is there any kind of common aspect in the middle of those 3 matches that kind of pinpoints a potential weakness for you guys on Saturday?
I guess the only one you would say is probably the Charlton one, really. I think we went maybe early on, we went a bit too front foot, and that would be a game that would push up the sort of opposition's expected goals. They were all over us in the first half. So they just picked us off, really, and just played through us dead easily. The other 2, it's very difficult to analyse because the Barnsley game, we were playing okay, and then we got Charlie Hughes got sent off, which was went down to 10 men. And then we didn't change it quickly enough. And of course, where did he score from? They scored from the place where Charlie Hughes probably would have been. I think that's when Cole was in that fantastic vein of form. He just couldn't stop scoring. And then we just kind of kept in the game. But it's one of those, Barnsley didn't seem to want to go and kill it off. We didn't concede loads of chances to them. That was a bit of an odd one. The Portsmouth one, first 10, 15 minutes, we were exceptional. We took the lead. But I think probably a bit of naivety at that stage of the season is that, we were automatically going for the second or trying to really kill it off before. And they then were able to break away. And then again, the game was really exciting. And then Charlie White got sent off. And, then again, it's so difficult against the Portsmouth team who don't concede a lot of goals anyway to then try and do it when you've got 10 men. So I think the Charlton one really is the only game where I'd say there's no mitigation. You could say a couple of the wins we've been quite fortunate. Northampton, we've relied on a couple of the games on exceptional goals. So McManaman hit an exceptional goal. Humphreys has hit an exceptional goal. So it's most of them have been pretty tight. But actually, I think generally speaking, we played well. The 2 home games against the better sides when it wasn't 10 men were Peterborough and Oxford. And I thought our performance in those games was a lot more mature and we were a lot more clinical. And yes, I think I put a couple of Peterborough players in my selections for the EFL team of the season so far for League One. They're a very good side, but we were able to neutralise that. And obviously we know the strengths of Oxford. So, I think overall at home, given last year, we'd only won 1 home game in the league. This time, I know it's in the Championship. It's a bit miserable for fans, isn't it? But the football's good. It's exciting, and and there's not too much pressure on ourselves, really. You know, it's almost a free hit season this year if we don't go down. I think that's the key this season. We don't go down. Anything else is a bonus.
I think that's fair, because I think from like an outsider's point of view, it very much seems like this is a transitional season, and a season realistically where you needed a transition, an opportunity to rebuild. You know, I think it was very highly sort of reported in the media, all of your struggles over the summer period and before that. So, you know, having the opportunity now to kind of have a bit of a slower, if you like, season where there isn't just so much going on that you can't keep up, and just being able to kind of rebuild is probably a real positive for you, very much so. So why don't you kind of tell me about how we expect you to maybe line up on Saturday? What kind of shape, formation do we expect you to play?
We're quite fluid, really. I mean, it's from game today. I think Sean Maloney has a really good look. Sean Maloney and his team have a really good look at the opposition. So it's not a case of we'll always play this style and we'll impose this style on you. They do look at, in detail, the analysts look at the other side. So we've tended to go on, I'd say the main formations have been kind of having the three centre-backs, but having Charlie Hughes there, he can bring the ball out from the back. So it'll probably be Charlie Hughes will play, Morrison will play, and then could probably be Kel Watts, I think, will play. I think we might go 3 at the back on Saturday. Then with Clare on one side, on the right wing, and bizarrely as well, Jones playing on the left, who looked like he was completely out of the picture. He'd been on loan for the last 2 seasons, couldn't get in the side early on in the season, but has kind of reinvented himself now as a wing back. I called it, because knowing him well, because he he played at Wigan when Victor Moses had that season for Chelsea, when he was accepted as a wing back. When he'd always been a forward, and I think Jones has kind of taken on that role, and he's doing it really well. And then we've got, our midfield, we are missing Matt Smith. He was superb for the first 5 or 6 games, so it could have coincided with that bad run, potentially getting used to him not playing. But we've now got 2, if you like, traditional midfielders, what I would say. They can interchange, so one can sit. Usually it's Smith and Adiko, who both academy players. I don't think they had kicked, they'd certainly not started a first team game in the league. I don't think they'd even featured, and if they had, very limited appearances. And then we kind of then got that player who's sort of in the hole, really, if you like. Who's and again, we've had some injuries in that area. Tello Asgard was playing there. He's a very, very good technical player. So probably maybe I think possibly Callum Lang will play, and it's a difficult one with the injuries. I don't know if you're aware, Gordo's out, and Gordo is absolutely fantastic.
Right, okay.
Yeah, he's on loan from Fulham. He just looks way above this level, and he's injured. So Humphries is obviously going to play. Top scorer, has been superb this season. It's then whether Callum Lang will play because of obviously the injuries. It's just do we go there as third? We've got options of Callum McManaman. We've got the option of a young guy that played last night who was superb, who's Chris C. He's called SZE. It took us a while to work out how we were going to pronounce his name, but he's another one who's come through who hadn't featured at all in a league first team squad. So, if you put McManaman in there, although he was an old academy player that obviously came through over 10 years ago, we can name 5-6 players that have come through the academy, and they'd had very little experience coming into this season. So I think that's probably how we'll line up, but you never know. We could just go four at the back, drop one of the centre halves, and you could bring in, more of a three-man midfield. You could bring Shaw in there in midfield and push Smith up a bit. And it could change within the match as well. That's what you got to look out for, because Sean Maloney is not afraid to change formation within a match. He's not afraid to use all of his substitutes either. So we've got options. We've got options, but it's just a shame that we're hitting that point of the season where it's very busy. We've got a busy Christmas period, and we now seem to be picking up injuries. Tom Pearce and Gordo, who have been playing really well recently on that left-hand side and linking up well with Jones as well. Two of them are out, and they're going to be out probably until February, March. So Charlie White, they're saying he's injured, but I don't know whether he might be leave in January to get some football and to get him off the wage bill, because I think he'll probably be the highest paid player in the division, I would think, because we managed to beat Sunderland's offer wage package two years ago. So,
and if you're beating Sunderland's wage offers, you're clearly paying quite a lot.
I mean, and to be fair, to him, what fans, he was brilliant when he first came in, and then obviously having that incident where essentially he died on the training field, and but for obviously Liam Richardson and the club doctor, he probably wouldn't be here, and to even get him back playing, and he started the season so well, but I don't know, since that sending off, he's not really featured. So it looks like to me that he might be leaving, potentially on loan. And then at the end of the season, he'll go on a free, I think.
Yeah. Well,
just to release some wages, because we're going to obviously have to cover some of these injuries in the transfer window. So, and his recruitment has pretty much been spot on so far, given the fact our recruitment team for the summer was two people, Sean Maloney and Gregory Ock, who has built our academy over the last 10 years, and Sean Maloney. And we didn't have a CEO. I don't know who was signing off checks and things like that. I don't think it's easily.
At least it got done.
Well, they did, but I mean, essentially, a lot of it was it was almost like the EFL were actually running our transfers, because obviously we're still under embargo, so we can only get the frees and the loans that are free. So we can't pay a loan fee. So it's not going to be easy to recruit players, but there might be some who are coming out of contract, that this, and they're not featuring with the club. So we might be able to pick up one of those as well. And there's ways around it,
there's always ways around it nowadays.
Sell on clauses and stuff like that, that type of thing. But obviously we're not going to be paying. That one thing for certain is we won't be paying any money for a player until at least whenever it is, July. Is it July the 1st when the window opens again?
Yeah.
So we won't be paying a fee for a player. The worry is, are we going to lose a couple of our players potentially to bigger clubs? That's my worry. If we can keep this team together, and hopefully naturally players will come back at various times, of the season, we'll pick up more injuries, but hopefully they start coming back in when we're picking up other injuries. So I think for me at the moment, I think we're at a good place. I'm happy with exactly with where we are at the moment, and we've all got back to enjoying football again.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's nice for you to be able to focus on the football rather than the off-field stuff, isn't it? Because, like you say, you had so much of that to deal with. It's nice to be able to enjoy your football again. I guess kind of focusing on the football aspect then, to kind of sort of round it off on that. Saturday, on the pitch prediction, how do you see it going?
Yeah, well, I don't know if Lincoln's kind of become a little bit of a bogey team for us, to be honest.
Well, it is three wins for us out of our last 4 matches, which were the only 4 since the turn of the century. So
yeah, that's why it's the recency bias, isn't it? The ones that you remember from the ones you remember most recently. Obviously, there was the 2 in the COVID season, weren't there? And then there was the two matches.
All 3 of our victories against you in 2020, 2021, well, 2 in 2021, all 3 of them were 2-1 victories to us. And then obviously you won 3-1 at our place last April, I believe it was. So
yeah, I was at that game.
If that helps you decide your decision.
Yeah. Well, that was at York. So let's say you're a bogey team for us at home. But I've got to go at the moment with the form, and despite the injury, I think it's going to be a close game. That's for sure. I think I'll go with a 2-1 win to Wigan. I'm always an optimist, but I haven't had too many beers, so I'm not saying 5-0 to Wigan.
You see, I am also always the optimist, and normally I am out here predicting us to win a lot of the games. I'm actually going to go a little bit more reserved on this one. I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I think it's going to be a really exciting game. I think we're going to be able to get a couple of goals. You're going to get a couple of goals. You know, I think your ability going forward is really going to help you. I think our clinicality going forward is really going to help us. It's something that we sort of had at the start of the season, and we seem to be retaining even as we're sort of creating more chances now, which is a positive. So yeah, I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. 2 teams who are, you know, reasonably solid enough, but who can also penetrate defences. I'm really, really looking forward.
Yeah, I'd take that, to be honest. If it's a good game and it's 2-2, it's a Saturday as well. You know, we've been starved of Saturday football at Wigan. I think we've only had 3 Saturday matches.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because all the international games have fallen on home matches, and then we were already given a few home Tuesdays anyway. So it's quite nice to get back to playing a match on a Saturday. So I'd say to everybody, you know, forget about your Christmas shopping for this week. Come and watch a great game at the DW Stadium, and hopefully we can win. But if we got a draw, that keeps our run going and takes us nicely into, if you like, sort of it's getting into the Christmas season, and the fixtures come thick and fast. You know, especially with us, we're still in the 2 cup competitions as well. I mean, we haven't lost a cup game this season. I mean, we lost on penalties to Wrexham, but we haven't actually lost a cup game. So that's it's a lot of games. But
well, you just focus on the cups then. That's fine. You just focus on them.
Well, yeah. If you said to me now, guarantee you a mid-table finish and a good cup run. Beat Man United, and maybe go to Wembley in the Bristol Motors now, is it?
The Bristol Street Motors Trophy.
Bristol Street Motors, yeah.
The only way you'll be getting to the final of that is if you're playing against us, I'm afraid. But that's but yeah, look, honestly, obviously, good luck with the rest of the season. I very much echo your thoughts. Everybody get to the DW Stadium on Saturday. I'm going. I cannot wait. It'll be my first trip up there. Like I say, really just looking forward to Saturday towards Christmas. I think it's our last Saturday away match before Christmas as well for us. So I'm really looking forward to
Christmas jumpers on then, or Christmas jumper season yet?
No. Let's not go too far.
Mince pies and the like.
I wouldn't mind if they were selling nice mince pies in the away end. Be sure to go and check out the Progress with Unity podcast. Adam, thank you so much for joining me.
Yep, you're welcome. Always a pleasure.
And guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out all the rest of the content, listen to the full pod, and up the imps.